Interest rates are up, housing prices are down. What is going on in the market? Hey everybody, this is Brad Decater with the Decater Home Team. This is your monthly market update. We're gonna look at the statistics from September. So we'll dive right in. I just wanna make sure that we clear out any of the media attention and just dive into what's really going on here locally in King County, Washington. So we'll look at the statistics, specifically what's going on, new listings, pendings, actives, average days on market, median, average sales price, all those types of things. And then as always, I will dive into what that means and kind of what my prediction is for the rest of this year and beyond. All right, so first up we have the median and the average sales price. So right now the average sales price is actually down about 2% month over month. So from the last month to this month, 2% down, only down 0.5% when it comes to median home price. So the median sales price is 2% below month on month. But just keep in mind, on the median sales price, we're actually up 6% year over year. So when we look at September statistics, we are actually 6% higher today than we were a year ago. So real estate is still going up on a year over year basis. However, as you guys all know, we have been seeing a decline in the last few months. So again, this last month was down about 2%. If you look at the very, very peak numbers, which would have been a March or April listing, is usually about the top of the market here this year. We are down about 10% in King County from the very peak. In some areas, closer to 20%. Depends on what area. Those are the good, highly attractive areas: Sammamish, Bellevue, Snoqualmie, places like that. Now the average price point, average sold price, is actually down only 0.5%, so less than 1%. It was only 5,000 on about a million average. So it's a little bit different than median. I know those two numbers tell a different story. Average price point is also up 4.5% from last year. So still an appreciated market year over year with average price point. As you guys know, I like to kind of take the middle of those two because they look at different things. So all in all, we're probably about down 1 to 1.5% month over month. So our properties are losing value every month the last few months. And that's what's going on right now as far as the appreciation or depreciation of the asset here in the housing market. All right, so next up we have new listings, actives, pendings, and solds, and kind of what those numbers, what kind of story those numbers actually tell us. So new listings in September, we had 3,577, which is up 300 from August. So slight increase in this seasonal area. It's not that uncommon. That was kind of what happened last year as well. Reason is because of school. So pretty normal there, just about 300 different than the month before. When it relates to last year, September, we're down 200. So actually less listings this year than last year in September. Now this is an interesting statistic because if you've watched my other videos, it's very interesting that everyone's saying there's tons of inventory out there. Houses are coming on the market like crazy, and there is lots more inventory. We get to the months of inventory later, which is a much better representation of how many houses are actually active right now. But as far as new listings go, we have 200 less new listings that came out in September this year than we did last year. So what that means is that it's not a fire sale. Everyone's going to the market to sell. No one's buying. That is not what's happening right now. We actually have less new listings this time than last year, and last year was a very competitive market. So it's not over flooding with inventory right now. Now active listings, we're at about 4,800, which is definitely a higher number than you're used to hearing, and that's because a lot of the houses that are coming to the market, even though it's a pretty healthy normal amount of that are coming to the market, not all properties are selling. They're taking longer to sell, so they're kind of accumulating, and that's what's leading to more months of inventory. So as far as active listings compared to last month, month over month, we have 500 more now than we did the month before. But when you look at a year ago, we only had 2,300 for active listings, which is about 2 times less than we have today. So as far as the active just amount of houses that are for sale all together, we have twice as many houses for sale today than we had in last September, which is pretty interesting. And that's why I'm saying there is more inventory, yes, but they're not there's not a ton more houses coming to market, like a house being listed today. That would be a new listing of that month. Not more significant than we've been seeing, for the past couple of years, really a very, very steady amount of inventory coming to the market. Just not all of them are selling, so those accumulate to make more overall active listings and therefore more months of inventory. Months of inventory stat, by the way, we are at 2 months of inventory currently, which is the highest that we've ever seen. Still not that high when compared to overall months of inventory in a depressed or in a declining market. If you look at the graph you have here, we show that back in the crash last time we were at 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months of inventory, so we're not even close to that amount. 2 months of inventory is a very, very healthy level, and that's what I'm seeing in the market here right now. Just yesterday, Derek and I both were competing on multiple offer situations for our buyers. So things are starting to shift a little bit. It's week by week, but there's definitely still buyers out there and they are buying. The buyer sentiment has changed, and there's just definitely, they're a little bit more picky, and there's definitely not as many of them there, but houses are still selling. They're still coming for sale in about the same amount as we'd expect to see. It's just a little bit harder to sell them, takes a little bit longer, and you're probably gonna get a little bit less than you're hoping for. Pending statistics, we're at just over 2,000, which is down just about 500 from last month. So less homes are going pending this month than last month, which is not a great sign considering when I mentioned new listings, we had 300 new listings come, 300 more new listings in September than the month before, but the pendings isn't quite catching up with that. So it was a pretty slow month, it seems like, as far as the statistics show, although like I said, I have seen an increase here in the last week or two. This video is shot, of course, in the first week of October. All right, lastly, we have days on market and also sale to list price ratio. Sale to list price ratio is at 98.8%, so about 99%. That means that homes are selling for, on average, 1% less than their listing price, which doesn't seem that crazy, but when we were at about 110%, that's what the normal was back in the heat of the market, last year, earlier this year and last year. Average days on market is 25 days, and median days on market is 15 days. They're different stats because they're looking at sold properties, but because they're different, I again like to kind of take the average. So it is taking most houses about 3 weeks to sell on average. And again, keep in mind, that's just sold properties. It can't become a part of the statistic unless it goes into the sold category. So for example, there could be a house in your neighborhood that's been on the market for 3 months. That wouldn't wouldn't get put into the statistics until it actually closed and sold. So that would be a 4-month close. Then it would kind of skew the statistics. So I do expect that the number is actually higher than that in reality, once it kind of catches up with the properties that have had a hard time selling. Because right now there's a good handful of properties, more than a handful, a chunk of properties on the MLS that just have been sitting for months and months right now, and they're not selling. If they don't sell at all, they won't get that statistic. If they do, it'll probably impact things, and I think we'll see an even higher amount of days on market on average and median here for the next market update video. So what do the stats show? I've kind of already briefed over this a little bit, but basically it's not as crazy as you might think as far as the inventory goes. That's the key takeaway from what the actual numbers show. And I'm always a little shocked when I look at these numbers too. I'm in the market every day, so I'm feeling what's going on. But then when I pull the statistics, I don't know exactly what I'm gonna see from the month before. I can't pull September statistics until the first week of October. And so the most interesting one to me, other than what I've already known, is that we actually had less listings come out in September this year than we did last year. That's a pretty telling sign. That tells me that we're not in a, like I said, fire sale situation where everyone's trying to sell right now. I gotta cash out, it's going down. That's not happening. So that's probably the most impactful stat that I saw. And as far as pendings and sales go, like I said, it is just a lot slower right now than it has been in the past. Specifically, obviously earlier this year when we were in the absolute heat of the market when it was going crazy. But overall, what the market's doing is it's a balanced market. It's a little bit of a slower market, but it's a balanced market. Now, I love this for buyers who are able to afford the interest rates currently. This will be the next topic. But you can get into a house, typically have your inspection, your contingencies. A lot of times you're able to negotiate a great deal, so it's a good time in that regard. Next up though, of course, interest rates have been going a little crazy. So we almost breached the 6%, midsummer. Then they kind of pulled back. The lenders, I think, kind of overcorrected because of what the Fed was doing. So they actually had a little bit more leeway. They went down to about 5.3. And then all of a sudden here, obviously the Fed made their most recent announcement And they had a pretty poor outlook on housing and kind of what their plan is. So they're going to continue to do their federal rate hikes. And then, mortgage rates are pretty much going to go in line with that, I believe, at a slower pace though. And so interest rates, 30-year fixed mortgage rates did just go up pretty significantly last week. Interest rates got about 7 almost. So we just quoted, the buyers at least got quoted for about 6.8%. So interest rates are super, super high right now. 6.8 is very, very high, which the Fed basically said they're going to continue to do that. So if interest rates go a lot higher, a lot faster, we could see this market turn around a little bit faster than I had planned or that I had predicted previously. But prediction-wise, I still feel similar to what I did the previous last 3-4 months of market updates, which is that I think the Fed increasing rates will curb inflation. When that happens and we enter a recession officially, we already are in one, but once the media says we are in a recession, I think that that'll kind of take its course. Inflation will come down, consumer spending will come down significantly. People will know we're in a recession. However long that takes to play out is when they will then probably lower interest rates, in my opinion, because I think 6 of the last 6 recessions, interest rates were lowered. So it's a very common, probably the most logical way to actually get out of a recession is to lower interest rates again. So it almost happens every single recession. So the question is how long it's going to take. I don't know. Very hard to predict. It kind of depends on how long this cycle lasts for. Obviously, I'm hoping for a quick one, but we don't really know. The good news is I don't see a significant crash coming as far as, houses continuing to go down a lot more than they are right now. I think we'll see a very, very slow trickle. The last 2 months are a good indicator of what I think is going to continue to happen. This month we had the average, 2% down, median 0.5% down. I still believe it's a really good time to buy a house. Truly believe that. In some markets, Snoqualmie Ridge, Sammamish, houses are selling for 20, 25% less than their neighbors sold for at the peak. That is an amazing deal. When you're talking about a $1.5 million house or $2 million house now selling for 1.5, you're saving $500,000 on the purchase price. That is equity, built-in equity, because I do believe it will rebound. And you're paying a significant amount of more interest, but a lot of these buyers have a lot of cash as well. So they're kind of offsetting that. And the key to this point is that interest rates will go down, in my opinion. I think that they will go down eventually, so it's just hard to say how long. So if you can afford the payment right now, and you have, if you're like me on my outlook and you think, okay, sometime in the next 2 years, interest rates will come down, maybe not down to 2, like they were at one point, below 3, like 2.7. But if they come down to 4, if you refinance from 7 to 4, you are saving a boatload. And then when that happens, keep in mind, if interest rates do go down to 4, the market is going to shoot up. I can almost guarantee it, because pricing has going to be coming down for so long. As soon as interest rates go down, and now like, okay, now I can get a house for, let's say, 20% less than I could at the peak, and interest rates are down, I'm buying. Everyone's going to have that same thought. Then we're going to go up again, I think, fairly quickly when that happens. So I actually think it's a great time to buy now, and any time from now until that time happens. The hard part is when that's going to happen. I don't know. I'm thinking next year sometime, maybe middle of the year. So if you can afford your payment, you can get a really good program like the 2-in-1 buy down, where you get a lower interest rates by 2 points the first year, 1 point the second year. Those are great options to do it. So if you're thinking about it and you know you want to be a homeowner, but you don't think you can afford it because of the interest rates, reach out. We'll connect you with the right people, and we can figure out a plan to make sure that you can get into homeownership. And again, I do think that long term it's going to be a great time to buy as of right now. I think that people that buy right now, looking back 5 years, are going to be very, very excited that they did that now, as opposed to waiting a few years. I know there's people out there that are waiting for the crash. This is it, guys. I don't think it's going to be significantly different than what it is right now. So if you've been someone who's been saying for 5 years, and I know them, I'm waiting for the crash, then I'm going to buy. Now's the time. There's different lending options for the lending side of things. As far as sellers go, like I said, I think it'll probably continue to slowly go down. So if you're thinking about selling the next 6 months, now may be better than 6 months later, but I do think it'll rebound quickly. So if you're someone who has a longer time horizon, you're like, well, we're good for the few years, then you might do better in a few years. There's no rush. But for this year, I think it will continue to go down a little bit each month. And I think it'll be a decent time to sell in winter, because we will actually still have pretty low inventory relative to buyer demand at that point. Thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions about your specific neighborhood, looking to buy, sell, invest, anything real estate related, definitely reach out with a DM or a comment, and I'd love to talk to you. We'll see you next time.